in commemoration of the late Uyinene Mrwetyana, an initiative called Post Office to Parliament in collaboration with the Uyinene Mrwetyana Foundation. They will be handing out postcards for people to write about how gender-based violence has affected them. Postcards to Parliament drive was inspired by the 1956 Women's March to the Union buildings against past laws. To tell us more about this drive is project manager Emily O'Ryan. Good afternoon, Emily.
Hi, Notemba.
Tell us about the idea of the postcards. Why postcards? I know it's inspired by the Women's March to the Union buildings back in 1956, but they had written a letter. But postcards in this case?
Sure. So, the question is really, are we still living in the South Africa, or are we living at all in the South Africa that the women of 1956 would have wanted to leave us? And so in reflecting on Women's Month, August is Women's Month because of the 20,000 women plus that went to the Union buildings under the leadership of Lillian Ngoyi, Helen Joseph, Rahima Musa, and Sophia Williams de Bruyn. But at the same time, we don't know what there is to celebrate really about Women's Month. In particular, in my mind, I think of Women's Month 2 years ago where we lost Uyinene Mrwetyana at the post office, but so many other names that we don't know, so many families that have been affected. I think of Jessie Hess, Tasneem van Wyk, Megan Kramer, in that month alone. And so we realize that there is a very powerful parallel between letters to the Union buildings, which were used in 1956, and the post office, where we lost Uyinene in 2019.
Tell us about how the drive works. What would you like people to? Will you be handing out these postcards? How is the drive working?
Sure. Well, we're in unique times of COVID-19. If COVID-19 has taught us anything, it's that living a life in fear is not living at all. So we've had to accommodate that factor. So we will be handing out postcards tonight at the commemorative service. We have been taking postcards out to schools with people that have jumped on board so fantastically. We've done so across the country, but more importantly, general members of the public are able to participate in this campaign via the website of the Uyinene Mrwetyana Foundation, which is uyinenefoundation.org. They can go online, read our petition, and write their own letter, which we will be taking to the minister ourselves.
Okay, what do you expect because it is from the post office to Parliament, and clearly you want to hand over these postcards and these letters of people sharing their experiences of gender-based violence. What are you expecting these politicians in Parliament to do when they receive them?
Sure. It's a fantastic question because we cannot be marching year in and year out like this. It's actually ridiculous. We are burying too many women in our country, and we don't want to hear rest in peace anymore. We don't want to hear sorry anymore. We want to hear the President and the Minister for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. We want them to say that there's a National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, as they were supposed to have been saying for the last 2 years. And we want to hear the courts say that the cases of Jessie Hess, Tasneem van Wyk, Megan Kramer will be heard before 2022. I mean, can you believe it? Crimes that took place in the same year and the month as Nene that are only going to be heard in 2022 is absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable. So we cannot keep burying women, and we cannot keep saying sorry.
Okay, so clearly you need meaningful actions from our leaders in the country and those politicians in Parliament. Just very quickly, and wrapping it up, just to share with the public, those who want to take part in this campaign online, who cannot be there physically to receive the postcards, what do they need to do?
Sure. They just need to go online to the uyinenefoundation.org and write their letter. Alternatively, they can go onto the Instagram page and they can see what we've been up to. And we will be writing and we're prompting everyone to write about how gender-based violence has impacted them. And we will continue to ask the question 65 years later, are we living in the South Africa that the women of 1956 would have wanted to leave us?
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, and all the best with the campaign and this project. That's Emily O'Ryan, the project manager of the Post Office to a parliament campaign that is happening in the name of Uyinene Mrwetyana.